Okay, folks, I'm just doing a remake of 7 Questions for the Night, episode 10. I'm not able to find the original file, so I'm having to remake this from scratch. I do apologize if this comes off as a little bit basic, but it's necessary just to plug in a few gaps. Question 1 comes from Clank Zapper 85. The Game Gear Sonic games were unique in that instead of Robotnik fighting you one-on-one with his mechs for a boss battle, with the exception of the final boss battles, of course, he sent some of his elite badniks to try to do the dirty work for him. What was your favourite, or favourites if you can't decide on just one, boss battle from the Game Gear games? It's an interesting question. Probably Green Hill. Because, most of the... to be fair, most of the Act 1, the first zones in any Game Gear Sonic game were a very Green Hill, Emerald Hill likeness, for want of a better description. So, probably say Green Hill, then Jungle Zone. That's a level that not too many people talk about, primarily because not too many people are aware of it. And probably the other one I like is the Green Hill type in Sonic Chaos. I apologize if I forget the name, but it's been a few years since I've played that one. Question 2 comes from Samayam 2002-4. If a Fantasy WrestleMania 28 match, you can see how long this has been since this one's come up, between Goldberg versus Undertaker, which one would you want to win? Now see, that would have been an interesting question. That would have been a fantasy matchup that people would want to see. If anything, I would have wanted Goldberg to win, and I will tell my reason why. Because Goldberg would have been a much more convincing guy to take the streak from The Undertaker, because Goldberg was just that unstoppable force that had pace as well as power to his credibility, whereas Brock Lesnar is just all power and no strategy. That's just my opinion. Take that for what it is. Question 3 comes from Firebird Freak 87. Now keep in mind, these are questions that came back in 2010. Though I know you're probably going to make a video about it, what are your thoughts on Sonic Generations now that we finally got to see what the gameplay is like? Well, I've done one or two reviews on this since then. I think Sonic Generations is quite honestly one of the best Sonic games to come along since the original Sonic Adventure from September 9, 1999, when Sega did the the campaign for the Dreamcast 9999, which is kind of clever when you think about it. The gameplay was awesome. That's all I gotta say. It's the Sonic game that we should have had. The only major criticism I will make for Generations is that it could have been longer. That's all I'll say. Question 4 from Firebird Freak 87. What is your favourite badnik in all the Sonic games, along with your least favourite badnik? Probably the Buzz Bombers, because they're so recognisable. And probably my least favourite is, I think it's one called Jaws from Hydro City in Sonic 3, where once they clank onto you, you have to be able to go through a zoom tube just to be able to get the things to detach from you, and they also eat your rings up. So I'm not very favourable of those, if you get my meaning. Question 5 also comes from Firebird Freak 87. You were asking me a lot of questions back then, dude. Which Sonic character do you personally think deserves the trademark Michael Punch, and why? Note, has to be a character from Archie Sonic only. Can I just say Ken Penders and have done with it? I mean, seriously. I think everybody wants to give that guy the Michael Punch. But in all seriousness... probably Antoine or Robotnik. I mean, Antoine is one of the good guys, but you just want to hit him, you know? Question 6 from Firebird Freak 87. I'm beginning to see a theme here. If you'd like to see any official crossover, which one would you like to see? Crossovers seem to be a thing now. I mean, we've got Ghostbusters crossing over with Turtles. Batman going with Turtles. I'd like to see Sonic with Thunderbirds, because that is something I think that could, gel well together if the right material is done properly. And also, just for those who may not be in the know, if you look at the Sonic X episode, I think it's either episode 7 or 8, with the Satellite Sweeper, look at Satellite Sweeper and then look at a picture of Thunderbird 2. So there was a little bit of an influence, and I'm surprised Carlton International, and by extension now ITV Studios, haven't gone to them and said, you owe us some money. But for all I know, they probably got permission, so we shall see. Question 7. Surprisingly enough, from Firebird Freak 87. You're asking a lot of questions back then, dude. What would be your first reaction if you do meet Kaf Sose in person? Starstruck. Feel like I'm meeting not necessarily an idol, but somebody that I have a lot of respect for, given the range of voices the very talented young lady has done over the years. A couple of to note, Janine Melnitz from Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters. That's when they started dumbing down that show, which I am not favourable of. She was Daisy Duck in Quack Pack. Probably one of the few reprising things about that. Lola Bunny from Space Jam, and this is the version of Lola that I prefer, because I don't quite like the Amy Rose generic stalker type motif that they got her in the Looney Tunes show. I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't find that appealing. And my most favoured, Princess Sally Alicia Acorn. Now, some argue that she's a bit of a Mary Sue. That would define that she has no flaws and has no range of character traits. She's stubborn, self-criticizes herself, has Sonic to contend with the way he gets a little bit out of check, having to be a mother figure to Tails, and at the same time recognizing that she is still just a girl. Very, very intelligent, athletically capable, and a sound strategist, but she is still just a girl. And I think that's what is so redeeming about the character, is because you look at her, you admire her, but at the same time you feel sympathy for what she's gone through. I think one guy I used to talk to a lot on DeviantArt said she's a child brought up in war. Because if you follow what happens in Saturday Morning, she's 5 years young when the coup happens, and she spends the next 10 to 11 years having to, train up to be a warrior when she is just a princess. But she's a princess that can also kick your ass if you're not too careful. Right. Well, that's been episode 10 remade. I hope you enjoyed it. It might not be the answers that I gave originally, but I hope that you enjoyed it all the same. Good night from the night.